we're sitting here talking this morning, and there are things that I found out about him. There's things that I found out about you in the last 6 months that I didn't know after I've known him for 50 years, for over 30. Like, he writes poetry.
Did you know that?
Did you know that?
He told me today he writes poetry.
I didn't know you played the guitar.
I didn't know you had time to write poetry.
Well, here's the deal. We need to get together because...
You can write the song and he can play
No,
it.
I did. I wrote this one poem, and a guy in Nashville, a singer, got a hold of it, and he recorded it already, put music to it, and now this week they're putting they got pictures, they're doing a video.
No, but they wrote that song already. All my exes live in Texas. He wrote that already. That's gone.
Speaking of writing, I didn't know, and I found out that you wrote a letter to him way back in the day trying to get a job.
No, I called him.
You called him.
I called him. I was like 1970. I was like 16, 17 years old, and I wanted to go to work for him in the summer at Los Alamos. And so what I did, I wrote all the things down what I was going to ask him. I was so nervous. It took me about a week to figure this out. Finally, I found out where he was staying at some place up at Bay Meadows. And then I called him, and afterwards, it didn't dawn. I called him like at 1 in the afternoon. He's probably taking a nap or whatever, you know. But I called him, and he was so gracious. I was so nervous because, you know, I wanted to go be a gallop boy. I wanted to gallop horses for him, maybe, you know, kickstart my, I love, you know, I was trying to be a jockey and all. So I called him up, and he says, oh, I told him my resume real quick, and he said, you know what, you would have been perfect, but I just hired somebody just a week ago. Like.
Was he telling you the truth?
Probably not, but you know what, he made
You're
me.
getting 3:30 in the morning?
Oh, he made it. When I got off the phone, I go, wow, what a great guy. He didn't, you know, he could have blown me off. Like, hey, no, I don't need anybody. No, we're good. You know, some guy from Nogales, Arizona wants to gallop horses. You know, I didn't know anybody. But I'll remember he was just so great and gracious to me that when I hung up the phone, I go, man, that guy's great, you know, because I saw him when I was like, just a few months before. He was running horses in Sonoy, Arizona, which is like a half an hour where I grew up on the Bush circuit. He brought these quarter horses in, and flashy trailer. And he came in there like, hey man, that's the guy right there. Fancy hat, had the glasses going, all these fancy horses. And so to me, I said, if I'm gonna work I want to learn from this guy, because, you know, he just revolutionized quarter horses. He changed it completely. And when he got into thoroughbreds, he revolutionized it. So if you're going to go to work for somebody, and he might have kickstarted me, you know, way earlier, but...
we had a conversation at Santa Anita.
But see, I wanted to try again, but I promised my mother I would go to college, so I had to go to college.
Okay.
So when you got your career going in high gear, Wayne was already king of the hill, right? Every sport needs a good rivalry.
Well,
And 25 years ago, you guys were the rivalry in horse racing. Baffert versus Lukas, Lukas versus Baffert.
Yeah,
How do you look back on that, and what about now?
I think it was more the media. Because we had that relationship with the quarter horses, you know, where we were friends and knew everybody, rode Bobby Adair, and had a lot of common friends. But the media tried to, I think, don't you think, tried to maybe
Well, I think it
build
was, too. We both trained for Bob Lewis.
Right.
Bob and Beverly Lewis.
That's right.
And so so there was a little bit, and Bob sort of liked that competitive spirit between us. He's the nicest man there is, you know, great owner. And and then he was buying, you know, he hired me, and I wouldn't buy him horses. He hired him, he bought him a bunch of horses. And then I had Silver Charm, and he had his horses, and we win the Derby together, you know. And I think, you know, we were competing there, but I think like the media started, you know, with, you know, Baffert, Lukas, and I think that probably caused some of it. But
You didn't feel the rivalry?
I was upset when he won the Derby for Bob Lewis before I did.
I was really
I
upset
remember
when
distinctly.
he beat me with Cavalier.
Yeah.
Right in hand.
Grindstone
that
and
was
Cavalier.
terrible.
You were part of it, yeah.
Worst beat
You know,
ever. I'm saying that was worse than losing Triple Crown.
You know what,
I'm telling you, that was the worst.
Jerry, I say this a lot of times. People ask about riders and everything. I said I think the most influential ride that made a difference in my career was your ride on Grindstone.
Thank you.
I really mean that. A lot of times I say, those guys are overrated. You know, you could have hung on to that one and would have won. But that ride, weaving through 15 to.
He has a philosophy that jockeys don't matter. Now let me put it in context.
Oh boy.
What he means is that if you get the top 10 or 12 jockeys together, you can just pick one or the other. There's not that much difference between them. And so you can ride this guy or that guy in the top 10 or 12 and be the same. Do you guys feel the same way?
No, I mean, some riders, I mean, I've won some derbies that they made a huge difference. I mean, Gary Stevens on Silver Charm, that ride was just perfect. And Johnny V on Authentic, I mean, the way he maneuvered his way, I said, you need to
was a hell of a ride,
make the lead, and he stayed out, and then he came in. And some jockeys, you've seen them, and when they come into the paddock, and my wife Jill's the best. She'll see him, and she goes, we have no chance. Why? Did you look on his face? I mean, he's white, like he's nervous.
Terrified.
And she's right. Oh, no, he'll be fine, you know. But there's a lot of pressure, and it's a big race, and all these 3 races are big. And so you want that guy, like, I can sleep at night. When you have a top rider, you can sleep at night. You don't have to worry about the ride. You're worried about your horse, having him ready. If he's ready, they'll get it done. If he's not, it doesn't matter who's on him.
Yeah, but there's mistakes and decisions, as you know, that you should maybe have made. Well, it happened in the Derby here. I think that my horse probably would have been a part of the equation if Nick Juarez didn't decide to go between those 2 horses.
Far turn?
Yeah, the far turn. He moved too early and through. And that was the decision I think that cost us probably a place.
No. Those riders thought the finish line was the half-mile point. They were going way too fast.
So
they were just rolling.
I rode for both you guys a lot and won a lot for both you guys. But I noticed, from my perspective, the differences in your training styles. To me, like Wayne, you're here at 4:30 in the morning and you have a structure and you have a program and that's what you're doing. Bob, it feels to me like it's less structure and more feel. You know, what seems right at the time. Right, wrong, different? What do you think the similarities and differences are?
No, we have a plan. There is a plan, but I'm sort of I wait till I cross that bridge when I get to it. I can change it up. If I don't feel right, if I see the horse and you got to read the horse really well, and by body language.
Sure.
It's all. And if I see a certain body language, I go, I better not. We better just hold off today. But the thing about Wayne, he's regimented. He's like, everything. If you look at his barn, I've hired one of my guys from him, and I can see the big difference. Matter of fact, he put out not only great trainers, but he could have put out great landscapers, okay? He should have been a landscaper, this guy, I'm telling you what.
Maybe I should have. You're right about that.
He said 4:30 in the morning. I thought it was more like 3:30.
Well, you got to get.
Get up at 3:30 to be here at 4:30.
35-minute drive at home, I think that Bob hit it right on the head, though. It's reading that horse, and we both work our horses, wouldn't you say, a little bit quicker than most of our colleagues, the other guys? I think we put, those 5/8 works in 58, 59, you show up. And our horses, both of us, are pretty well forwardly placed all the time in a race. You don't see many of Bob's horses or my horses back.
I think that's the quarter horse. I mean, I started out with quarter horses. Both you guys did. He even covered quarter horses.
Yeah.
To me, that's what brings you guys together, is the emphasis on you got to get out of the gate quickly, and I think it comes from the quarter horses, the 200, 350-yard races, the quarter-mile races. That's where you guys both started.
Jerry, we won, I think he won the Derby twice, and I had won it once, and they were still seeing the quarter horse guys. they were still calling us the quarter horse
They're still
guys.
calling us the quarter horse guys.
We never got over
It
it.
doesn't,
Hey,
you
the
know
quarter
what?
horse guy won it.
We buy good horses, okay, and they're fast, and some of them come off the pace, but the thing is, not only we like to play at this top level, but we also have
No question.
an obligation to all the people, the employees that have worked for us all those years, and we have to work hard, and we want to keep them going. And a lot of people don't see that. We can't do it without the great help we have.
Yeah.
We hired nothing but the best. I have an assistant,
question.
worked for him. Guys that worked for him, oh my, they're just like they went to school, they went to Harvard, you know, going to, you know, working for him. And that's why I wanted to get a job with you. And then you could have said, I brought him up.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you're doing is continuing to work. You're both still here. You've won this 8 times. You've won it 7 times.
Yeah.
Who's keeping score?
He is.
I just read about it.
You know, it when you're at my age at least, I know Jerry, you can relate to this. Those numbers of what you accomplish don't mean as much. It's the now. I'm more interested in not that I would get 8, you know, this week, tomorrow, or whatever. I'm more interested in right now, this next one. That's all I care about. I don't care how you put it on the statistic.
We're like coaches. We're only as good as our last big win.
Sure.
And that's the way it works. I mean, that's in reality. I don't care how many derbies or whatever. What is he doing right now? And so, especially when you're getting older or whatever, you know, I think it's more emphasis is, well, maybe if he's not making the right, you have to be careful what moves we make and where we run our horse and how we manage them. So, you know, I haven't changed anything from that, and you just stay focused on what kind of horse, where is he going to fit the best?
That's a lot of pressure you put on yourself then.
Well, we both have high-profile clientele that are, you know, they're spending a lot of money. Of course, you know, we both came with Bob Lewis, which was a wonderful guy. I had Gene Klein. Everybody used to say, hell, if I had Gene Klein's horses, I could win too. I didn't know 2 guys that would have lasted with Gene Klein a week. You know, he was so football, New York tough. You know, he was hard. He used to say, Cowboy, I'll pull the rug out from underneath you tomorrow if you don't get things going here. He mean it.
You know,
Different.
we're sitting here in this barn. Wayne, your horses are right here. Bob, just a few stalls down.
I'm down the road.
Okay, down the
Down the
road.
road.
All right. Same barn.
Down the
And
dusty road.
Yeah.
Like Churchill and your home tracks, everybody's in different barns. You have your own barn when you have
Right.
your own barn. This is a different dynamic here at the Preakness. Tell me, kind of like, what's the dynamic here? Being able to look the horses you're running against, your competition, look them right in the eye, watch them walk by every
Love
morning.
that.
What do you think of it?
He loves it because he'll sit here and he'll scope them all out. I remember I showed up with Justify. The horse wasn't here yet, he was coming. And I see him, I said, how's it looking? I said, so far I haven't seen anything that would scare you, would scare me or you. Because he had a good horse in there. So all of a sudden Justify comes off the van and I lead him up. And I lead him up right up, he's sitting right here, he says, what do you think? He says, he looks at him, wow. He goes, you're going to need a bigger boat, man. And I walked him off, you know, and he almost beat, he came flying late
that's right.
to get me, and I go,
Vazo.
Yeah,
But
for
he-
sure. Of all
he-
things, he
he's-
wasn't even in the top. Well, I better not say that.
he's always had a really, and that's when we come from the court. We have, you know, a good eye for a horse. And in quarter horse racing, you got to remember, we'd run trials. There'd be
Oh, yeah.
100 horses vying for
200.
8 or 10 spots, 200 horses.
Yeah,
And then we'd have to bring, a week later, run him back and have him run well, and then you want him to run better the second time. So when everybody says, oh, you got to run him back in 2 weeks, like, that's nothing. Well, now quarter horses, they do the 2 weeks.
Right.
Now they give them that extra time, you know,
Yeah.
which is good.
But
But I mean, we're just used to that pressure in the quarter horse world of being able to have your horse and bring them along. And it's all about 2-year-olds where, you know, thoroughbred racing, if they don't work out, you can run them when they're older. But 3-year-olds seem to be, you know, everybody is really focused more on what happens, you know, the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont.
I don't think 15 of them, but 15 Preaknesses between us is an accident.
No.
Maybe a couple of his.
Just think of the ones that we could have won that got away. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had some get away, you know, but I've had derbies get away. I always thought I should have won 9, and he probably should have won more if I hadn't been in there.
You know what? That's my phone, and
Is that your phone? See, that's when you know you're getting old.
I told Bill Gates not to call me between
Another
3:30
client.
and 4:30.
Another one.
It's another client.
Yeah.
It's your doctor.
Bill,
He's
it's-
watching this saying, no, wait a minute.
I tell Bill Gates, don't call during feeding hours.
I thought it was like a truth alarm or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something going on. All right, so let's talk about this Preakness, okay? Goal-oriented. What are your thoughts? Post one, not what you would
They
have
give me
wanted.
one all the time.
I know.
I
all
know.
the
I
time.
You got a contract for 1.
It's a
It's
sign.
like, it's part of the, you know, it's one of those things where you just, once you have to just deal with it. It's not as bad as it is in the Derby. The Derby 1 hole is devastating,
Oh,
especially if you have a
terrible.
speed horse. This horse, you know, he has some speed. You know, he's not real, he's a big, powerful horse. And I love the way he broke his maiden. I loved his race at Kentucky. You know, he's running a wet track once. I don't know what our weather's going to be like, but I think I don't think it's a crazy move. I liked him better in this spot than Rodriguez. You know, he's a lighter frame kind of horse, and with all this, it would have been too much for him up close. There's a lot of speed in the race, and so, and every time you're dealing with him, you know there's going to be speed, you know.
Well, what about American Promise? He's got speed.
I
What
think-
are his chances?
He doesn't have probably the speed of some of these others. I think that we're overlooking Steve Asmussen's horse too. I think that horse is going to have something to say about the early pace. The thing about American Promise is that he is very, very manageable with enough speed to do maybe what you want to do. 9-horse field, if they all get there, and I think he gives me a lot of confidence that I can probably do some of the things that would make the difference winning a race, other than that rodeo at Churchill at 20 head. You know, I think he's got I think he's got just enough speed. He's smart. He's a good horse now at this point. I think he's got the ability to dictate what we want to do.
So you're saying you got a chance?
I would have a better chance if journalism wasn't in the race,
You're not. Amen.
right?
Yeah.
I think he is a really good horse,
he's-
and I've
it's
been
his-
chasing him all winter long,
Yeah.
and I've seen what he can do. I think he had some tough luck in the Derby. It's good that he's in this race, because it really gives it, you know, it gives us some oomph. We need those good horses to come here.
He looks good.
But I've been watching him
Yeah, I have
closely,
too,
and,
yeah.
and he is not. You know, you're always watching. Well, maybe he doesn't. And that's one thing I like about coming here to Preakness, because you get here, and I used to come here, and you get to see the Derby winner and see what they look like. I remember coming here and looking like, oh my, that's him. You know, like it's nice to see good horses, and they come in all sizes and shapes. So that's what I love about coming to Pimlico, is that the Derby winners here, or all the horses that ran, and so you get to see. You know, you get to size them up a little bit, and down the road, well, maybe I'll buy a horse that, every time I bought a horse that looked like that, it didn't pan out, but you never know.
You know, I've been around for a little while, but I don't understand how you can differentiate. Some of these horses, to me, they all look beautiful. I mean,
They're a pretty good bunch.
I'm telling you,
There's
every
two of
one that
them-
I've
two
seen,
of them-
they're good-looking horses.
2 of them are a little over the top, I think.
The
A little past midnight.
We'll talk about that afterward.
Yeah, after the race. Yeah.
his horse is huge. He's bigger than Justify. I mean, he's over 17 hands. Mine's a big horse. He's not, you know, he's a
Good looking.
big, good stout, good looking horse. Clever again. He's a beautiful horse. You know, I was looking at him closely because of American Pharoah.
Right.
Yeah, he's
And,
really a good horse.
he looks really healthy and beautiful right now. So, and the local horses, you know, I don't know the local horses. He has speed, and sometimes the local horses show a lot of speed. They're home, they're excited, they want to get out there. So until that gate comes open, you just don't know what's
Well,
going to happen.
the local horses aren't stable here either. We're not getting to smoke them over.
Ooh.
They're on the ground.
Yeah, they're here, but
They're
they're not
somewhere.
walking by every morning.
So no matter how you pump yourself up and talk yourself into thinking, I can win this race, and you see the Derby winner or all these other horses, is it sort of a reality check? Oh, yeah.
I think that if journalism brings his super A game and gets a trip, he's going to be really difficult to beat. And so I need A game, I need to move forward. I think my horse can move forward. Does he need the lead? He's really not a lead. Rodriguez had to have the lead. Certain horse I brought here, I think he can be right there. If you know you can run 1, 2, 3, then you have a chance to win, and that's what I'm hoping for.
So even if the rivalry was media generated more than anything else 25 years ago, going back to the days when you were both training for Bob Lewis to now, how has your friendship developed?
Well, I think, you know, there's so much money involved in the competition of, you know, what we're dealing with every day with other, you know, trainers, clients, everything, that it's hard to get a strong friendship. But I think our friendship really took a step in the right direction when they were hammering on him, some of your colleagues, maybe you, I don't know, on the whole Derby situation that went down. And I sat right here in the chair the day after it, and I told the world.
He's the only one that came to my aid. He gave me the benefit of the doubt. And I really appreciate that from him, because he knew.
I told him pour it down the sink. It had no bearing on the race. I said, why we're getting all, you know, riled up over this and everything. And I continued to defend him because I thought that it was an injustice and that I had to say it, you know. And that, I think, helped our friendship a lot. Don't you think, Bob? I mean.
Well, we were friends before, but I mean,
yeah.
you know, he's the only one that stepped up, and you know, a lot of guys don't want to do that. You know, they don't want to be involved in anything. They don't want to make waves. You know, but his horse just came out of the stall looking pretty good there, Wayne.
Damn right.
He looks like he's breathing fire. Yeah.
I saw him go by.
I don't know about that.
I've got one eye on us and one eye on the competition.
I'm checking out his stock here. Hey,
you're looking down through there. I caught him when he went by.
I'm going to bring mine out right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I got a quiet confidence here.
Quiet confidence.
He always has quiet confidence.
Yeah, I always say you can't train scared. You train like you got where they belong. You're going to beat them. I go over there. I know they beat me 80% of the time or more.
Yeah.
But I don't go in there thinking that way. I think
he's always been that way though. He's a positive thinker.
I'm going to beat him.
Kind of dovetail off what Randy asked you about your relationship. Do you think maybe spending the time at this barn that you do every Preakness when you're both here has kind of helped gel your friendship?
I think we spend probably more time. We keep in touch. I call him all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we're always checking up on each other and so to see what's going on. So I ask him, how you doing? And one thing about him, he's always got a good 2-year-old in the barn. Got him going. You got to have a good 2-year-old.
Now he's turning away owners.
Exactly.
But I think you're right. I think that getting to know some of the other guys too, you know, to have a little bit of a relationship. But being here, I'm always down here on the end, and he's halfway down there, and so when he gets done, we sit here. I have great respect for listening to it. You know, I don't believe it, but I have great respect for what he says.
Hey.
You guys are always good for a great line. Hey, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.